Hey YouTube, it's me, Jen, your pudgy picker.
And Kim.
And we are here again for another podcast, number 34.
34, I feel so old.
I know, the tits get ticks every week. We're getting older than the dog ages. Our podcast is Two Sisters,
One Booth.
and we are discussing today, it's story time.
Oh, can I pull up a pillow and my pajamas?
Put your jammies on, get some popcorn, have some hot cocoa if you're somewhere cold. If you're somewhere warm, get some iced tea.
Lemonade.
There you go. So we've been asked before, I know someone commented, you guys should do about your sourcing stories or different funny adventures we've had.
Oh, man.
So I sat down and started jotting them down over the last couple of weeks, and I was amazed how many I had. Look at this page.
Well, that's because you go like every day somewhere. And
There's some strange people out there.
yes.
That's why I always laugh when I hear Jason's, thrifty encounters or strange encounters of the thrifty kind. I'm like, I could probably do that every week. I could have a story, especially during garage sale season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What are you stealing from me now?
In fact, that's my first one on my list.
How'd I know that?
I've been accused of stealing twice from garage sales.
Oh, you just look so guilty.
I know. I'm such a sinister face. Yeah, I actually, there was I don't think it was a street sale, but I don't know. It's funny. I go to the same garage sales over and over and over every year. And this one, they're neighbors. They must be friends. Hey, I'm going to have a garage sale in the state. You can too. And I went to the first one, looked around, didn't really find anything. And then I found something, just like one little item, and it was like $1. So when I have my car there and I'm that close to the next one, unless I'm carrying something big, I don't go back to my car. So I went ahead and walked up the next driveway and was looking, and there was several ladies there sitting and yapping, and didn't find anything, and started walking back up the driveway to my car. Excuse me.
Why do you always start coughing when we get...
I'm allergic to you.
Okay, I'll just leave.
So I started walking up the driveway, and a lady comes running down the driveway. Hey, are you going to pay for that? And I turn around because I'm, you have that moment of, are you talking to me?
Yeah. Could be talking
Are
to
you
me.
talking to me? So I turn around and I look and I said, yeah, I paid for it next door where I bought it from. And she's like, oh. And, at that point, what would you say?
Yeah.
You say, sorry. Sorry. She's like, oh. Just turns around and go back. I'm like, fine. I'm glad I didn't buy anything from you. So.
Really?
I know stealing at garage sales is a problem. I know you've had people steal from your garage sales.
Yep. I've had jewelry disappear and other stuff too.
I've been at garage sales where people have been switching prices.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, they got those cute little stickers you can get at the dollar store now. I mean, you
could carry a bunch of those in your pocket and just kind of... See, I never thought that until I hang around you. See what a bad influence you are.
I see how it is. You know what? At least half of the ones I go to use those. And it's funny. I've gone to garage sales where I've walked around and literally the pile of stickers is laying there. And I always pick them up and say, you better you might want to take these so nobody gives themselves a discount. And they're like, oh, okay. Another garage sale I was at, I was looking at it was kind of a vintagey kind of box, like not a cigar box, but kind of about that size. Went over and opened up, there's money in it.
Oh, I hate that. I've done that before.
Hello, you might want to put your money somewhere.
I've looked in somebody's purse by accident. Like, well, you shouldn't have it sitting so close to the stuff you're selling. I didn't know. And then you feel like you've committed a major crime.
What did they say?
Nothing, because they didn't see it. And that's the other thing. I could have ripped her off and she'd have never known it.
It's a good thing we're so honest.
I know.
That's funny.
$4,000 honest.
Oh, boy.
That's the other story, but that's not related to this.
More to that story.
Yeah.
So I know stealing is an issue, and, I don't know. I try to be, when I walk around with something, I'll have it in my hand. Or I'll walk up and say, can I set this here? I'm still looking, but I want this item. So at least, they get the idea. I don't carry a purse when I garage sale. I have essentially a wristlet So I got both of my hands free for digging and looking at stuff. So I usually just, slip that on my wrist so I have 2 free hands.
I always feel guilty if I'm someplace in a store or something and I put my hands in my pocket. I'm like, oh, they're watching me now. They think I'm stealing something.
See, we were raised by a state cop, and that's why we, you got that, the hair stand on the back of your neck, and you're like, I don't even want to appear as if I'm stealing.
And then we look more guilty than ever.
Yeah. Then you're looking around, they're like, oh, watch that lady. I know, I don't know. I've been followed in stores before occasionally. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
Because when I worked at Kmart years ago before I was married, we would have plainclothes people walking around, so you kind of knew what to look for. So, but I've been in stores where I put a hat on my son to see because he never likes to wear hats, and then all of a sudden I forget he's wearing it, and we're out in the parking lot, and he's like, hat, and I'm like, oh. So that's not a sourcing story, but yeah. So then you turn around and you go back in, and then they look at you like, why didn't you just take it? If you do admit, hey, this and that, they just stare at you like, what?
I know. I've gotten out to the car and realized that something was like under my purse or something. And I've done the exact same thing, and they think you're stark raving mad for coming back in.
I had a lady, I was buying a whole bunch of like little stained glass, like almost like ornaments, but you could, those like a suction cup, you could stick them. And I got like maybe 10 or 12. And I gave her the money, and she was wrapping them all up. It was an older lady. She wrapped my money right up in it and put it in there. And I went to put it in the car, and I just happened to like glance down in the bag and saw the money. So I pulled it out, went back up there, and she's like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, well, at least you did it with somebody who's honest.
That's right.
So yeah, so that's our stealing stories. Savers, I went to the one that I always go to on Monday, the second one, which is probably a good 12, 15 minutes from my house. And it's one of those, you put stuff in your cart, and then all of a sudden you have to go to the bathroom, and you're like, oh, somebody's going to take stuff out of my cart.
Yeah.
So I went over and picked up a huge comforter and laid it over the cart and parked the cart. Isn't that a good idea? That's a good idea. So I go in the bathroom.
I don't know, finish the story and tell me if your stuff was there.
No, it was there. That has nothing to do with the story.
Okay.
So I go in the bathroom, and, I'm taking care of business and doing the paperwork. And,
I know this story.
And getting ready to go. And I hear somebody coming in that are coughing and stuff, and I'm like, boy, that's weird. That doesn't sound like a lady. But I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just finish up what I got to do. So I open up the door and I step out, and there's a man standing there looking at me. He evidently hadn't gone yet. I don't know if he's grooming himself in the mirror or what he was
trying to
doing.
figure out where the urinal went.
Yeah.
That's the funny looking
I'm
urinal.
glad he didn't go in the sink. Ooh, maybe he did go in the sink. Ew. So he stops and he looks at me, and he's got this look on his face, and he goes, "This is the men's room." And I'm like, first of all, you're in the wrong room, but if you catch an attitude about it, I said, I think you better step outside and look at the door, because this is most assuredly the ladies' room. So he's just standing there like he doesn't know what to say or do, and I'm like, scoot. Yeah, I left without washing my hands. I apologize. I had hand sanitizer in the car, but I was going to beat feet and get out of there, because I'm like,
you didn't know where he was. Yeah.
He looked confused.
Well, probably even more so after he walked out and looked at the door.
Yeah, I hope he felt bad, because it's like, it's bad enough that you're in there, and then you get all aggressive about it. I mean, even if it was the men's room and I was in the wrong room, I mean, yelling at me, what, are you going to make me feel bad? I don't know.
You probably just shocked him so bad that was his first reaction,
He peed his pants. He didn't have to go anymore.
That's probably what happened.
Now, when I was in Vegas and saw Jason T. Smith, I was in one of his, we sat in, Connor and I were there. In fact, it was a year ago today, because I posted on my Facebook, I had a picture of Vegas. And I'm like, wow, it's been a year already. Anyway, so we were there, and that's why he gets so many stories, because there's some strange individuals in that town.
Yep.
So we were at a Savers. They're like on every street corner there, practically.
The strange people or Savers?
Both.
And 2-in-1 in some cases. Yeah.
So I have never seen so many people with animals in the store, and they don't say anything because people are a little scary and a little sketchy, and I guess they just leave them alone. And there was a guy standing there, an older gentleman, who was a little rough around the edges, and he had a kitten. He was holding a little black kitten, and his girlfriend, wife, significant other was trying on like stripper boots. And he's, everybody's like, oh, can I pet your kitten? And I'm like, oh, I don't want something to leap off of that person or his cat. I think the cat was probably clean, but
and probably cleaner than that person holding it. Yeah.
So, and I was like, that's weird. So I mentioned that to Jason. He goes, oh yeah, I see people with animals in the store all the time. That's no big deal. I'm like, oh, okay. Because then somebody was carrying around a little dog with a hat on it, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is the norm around here.
Yeah, regular stores around here wouldn't. Though I did see when I went into Lowe's the other day, they had a sign.
You're allowed to take your dog into Lowe's.
Yeah, it says helper dogs and other dogs welcome or pet dogs welcome, something like that.
Isn't that cool?
I was like,
because I think you can look it up on the internet. You can Google it. What stores you can, have a dog.
There's no food and it's a cement floor. So if they have a boo-boo on the floor, it's easy to wipe up.
I've been in there once before. There was a guy came in and he had a dog in the back of his truck, and the dog decided he wasn't going to wait anymore. So, Mr. Pudgy Picker and I were in there walking around looking at stuff, and he said, I keep seeing a dog. I'm like, okay. Well, yeah. And then the guy came in and yelled for it, and it's like, Dad, I came to look for you. So, yeah, there's a lot more places than just pet stores that you think that you can have an animal in. Yeah, especially if any place has food. Yeah, because I know our store, A&U, Antiques and Uniques, at one point, we have an area where it's called Community Spotlight, and we have different charities and nonprofits that can be there to explain, what they do and get donations or just be there for more awareness. And I know we had
was it Greyhound
Rescue wanted to come in there, and we couldn't because the health department said, no, you can't have it in the same building as you have food. And if you've ever been around a Greyhound or seen any of the Greyhound rescues, they are couch potatoes big time. Mm-hmm. They just sprawl.
I want to run, and I am done.
I'm done for a week. They are very much couch potatoes when you adopt them, but they are so beautiful. So speaking of Jason T. Smith, he was up in my neck of the woods. If anybody doesn't know, he's from a small town that's about maybe half hour, 40 minutes from me.
Yeah, from
so
him.
I do occasionally see his mama and his dad out garage sailing. Mm-hmm. And she has all kinds of Hawaiian type stickers on her car and her license plate.
They're big Hawaiian.
Yeah, so
people.
I have seen her before, and I race her up the driveway. No, I don't. But Regan and Peggy or Peg. So it's kind of cool to see them occasionally. Or they'll talk about something they found, and I'll know, well, we were just in that area, or I must have just missed her. So I think I've seen her twice, where I pulled up and I looked at the back of her car and I said, that looks like, and then they got out and I'm like, yeah, that's them. So, yeah.
Rubbing shoulders.
So he was in town and had a get-together type dinner in downtown Cleveland. And I got to meet his mother-in-law, Stacy's mom.
Oh, okay.
And it's so funny because, I have less than 4,000 subscribers. I'm not thinking that I'm,
anybody's
that I'm so awesome and I have a channel and I, need to be bowed down to. But it's so funny because when I was there, he goes, oh, I got to get my mother-in-law and have her come over to meet you. She is a big fan of your channel. And I said, oh, something, yeah, okay. And his mother-in-law came over and she was like, oh my God, Pudgy Picker. It was so funny. She was majorly fangirling me. It was so awesome. And he goes, I told you she was a fan. I'm like, okay, I didn't think it was quite that big of a deal. Oh, and she's like, wait, let me get my husband. I want him to come. But it was so cute. I've never been fangirled before, but I just thought that was awesome. And she was just so sweet. Something I see a lot of times.
See, that's why you keep me in the background on voice only, because you don't want me to step into your spotlight.
Yeah, back
and
off.
pull your steam here, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Something I come across almost weekly at garage sales especially is husbands and wives arguing.
Oh.
I tell you, it's...
You don't need that crap. Put that down.
Oh, it's kind of like when you go in the grocery store and you see an old couple and you're like, oh, they're so cute. And she's like, put that back. You're not buying that. And I'm like, oh,
let him have his jar of
so
pickles.
let him have some cookies for crying out loud.
How many more years does he have left?
Yeah.
Might be minutes. Let him
like,
have the cookies.
It's like you totally ruined this cute little vibe you were sending out. And this is a hint as well as a story. Whenever I am at a garage sale that has a husband and wife, if the husband steps into the house and there's a man type item and I don't see a price or I want a bargain, I will ask the wife, how much for this? Because she is very willing to get rid of his crap at a reduced rate. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned this to someone once and they said, funny you should mention that. I was selling my husband's scuba stuff at the garage sale and I sold it like really cheap and my husband was so mad about it. It's like, you know how much that stuff's worth? So yeah, or if the woman steps into the house because she needs a drink or something and the husband's sitting there, I'll go over and say, how much for this purse? Or if you could tell he's there alone, he doesn't want to be running a garage sale.
Yep.
He'd rather be anywhere on the planet but sitting in that garage in 95-degree heat.
Yep.
So I'll say, how much for this? And he's like, oh, and then I'll just throw a price. And he's like, yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
So, yeah. So if it's a girl thing, ask the guy. And if it's a guy thing, ask the girl. Usually that does pretty good. Until you make the deal and then the lady comes out and say how much you sold that for. Then you run to the car.
I heard, yes, and that's happened to me. I'm halfway down the drive. Well, you sold it. That was supposed to be it. It's like, hurry and get to the car before she changes her mind.
Just start acting like you're deaf. It's good. Nobody knows. So that happens a lot. Or if I'm in a thrift store, there's, you don't need that. No, you have so many of those. And so, yeah, it's funny. But, but at garage sales, that, I tell you, that is a weekly occurrence. Looking at these, I see a lot of these are garage sale stories. I had a garage sale. We did like 40 in one day.
I don't know how you do that. I have such a hard time getting out of the car and standing up straight. It takes me 5 minutes just to straighten up the walk.
I look, I make a decision, and only if there's a ton of good stuff and it's a good price, then I'm there a little bit. But for the most part, I'm
whoever has a problem making a decision on anything.
You know what? A lot of times, if I get something so cheap, I'm like, if I can get this for $1, I'm not going to stand here and look it up and figure out, and I'll just take a chance. So,
are you going to tell on me as that was an intro for telling on me?
What?
When you're talking about just just grabbing it and waiting for later to figure it out. When we went to the big garage sale together, and the lady, go ahead. I will let you. Yes, I'll let you tell me that.
So we were selling that year, weren't we?
Yeah.
They have a fairgrounds in the county we're in, and they have twice a year called the Great Garage Sale.
Yep.
They have one in the spring and one in the fall.
Yeah.
And we actually set up and was trying to get rid of stuff.
Many years in a row I did
and
that.
Toward the end of the day, people are desperate. And I know something we've done is I had my daughter who could shout down, anybody. I had her stand out and say, fill a bag for $5, remember? Mm-hmm. So that was nice. So I took the few things that I didn't want to let go at that price, but we got rid of a lot of stuff. But anyway, so we heard somebody was like, fill a bag for $2, $3, whatever it was. So we walked down there because we had looked and we knew they had jewelry and some other smaller items. So she was handing out the plastic, like shopping bags. Yeah. So we walk up to the table and people are milling around because they're there for a bargain too. And Kim is looking, she's looking at stuff like she's looking in a jeweler's counter. She's picking it up and turning it over and looking at it and setting back down. No, I keep looking at it. So
go ahead.
I walk
Enjoy
over
the moment.
and I take my hand and I literally just swipe all of it off the table into the bag. And I hand her the bag and I go, sort it out later.
And I'm like, but
The look on your face was priceless.
I was thinking I may not want all of this stuff.
It's $2.
I know.
Just take it home. Oh, that was funny. The look on your face was just priceless.
Yeah, so okay, I'll let you have that one. Remember, next time I want to tell on you on something.
Funny. That's so funny. So one Thursday I was out and it was raining. And I always have an umbrella in my car because, I'm ready. And if it rains, I don't stop garage selling because that's when a lot of the people who don't, oh, it's raining, I'll get wet. That's when you can find some bargains because a lot of people aren't going. And I don't think most people, if they spend all that time and it starts sprinkling, they're going to keep running the garage sale. That's what I find anyway. So I go, I get out, have my umbrella. I'm going up and down the sidewalks. One was like a neighborhood or a street sale. So we were just walking. And a lady at a garage said, oh, that's a pretty umbrella. And I said, oh, thanks. And then when I go back to my car, she pulls up next to me. I'm getting in the car and she's driving her car. And she said, how much do you want for that umbrella? Now, hey,
I'll trade you for your bra and underwear. How
unless
about that?
I'm wearing the Hope Diamond, I'm willing to make a deal. And I know I bought that at Mark's, which is a discount store. And I know I only paid $3-4 for the dumb thing. Mm-hmm. And it's raining. So, the demand is high. So I said, how about $10? She literally took it from me. Can I see it? So I literally hand it to her and she's looking it over.
She didn't just drive off with it.
I'm surprised she didn't. But she's looking at it, and I look at my son, Connor, because he was with me that day, and he's just shaking his head like,
I can't believe.
Really? And she goes, like, how about 2 or something really low? And I'm like, keeping my hair dry is worth more than $2 to me.
Look like a drowned rat.
Yeah. I mean, $10 I'll get wet.
Yeah.
$2, no.
It won't even cover my jar of mousse.
Yeah, so I'm like,
my hair.
no. So she hands it back to me. And I start to drive, and Connor goes, now, if you would have told me that happened, I never would have believed you. It was so funny. And then later, literally, we just kept seeing each other throughout the day. And she'd like $10 and just shake her head as she'd walk by. It was so funny. And then, like the last time I saw her in the day, I was in the car starting to drive. She was driving the opposite way. She slows down. So I'm like, maybe she wants to say something. Or maybe $10 is suddenly a good idea. I look over out the window at her and she sticks her tongue out at me and drives off. And Connor, my son, he's just like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, I know, it's weird, but these are the things that happen to me when I'm
all the
out
strange
there.
ones.
Yeah, another, it's funny, you tend to, each season, you see some of the same people, and then during one season, you'll see, like I saw the umbrella lady several times after that. And then, there was a lady. Now, if I use this word, don't be offended, but I'm just going to use the word because it's convenient. She's crazy. We had a crazy lady. And you could tell she's not quite fully wrapped.
Should I say all the puns? One
and she's
brick
with,
shy of a load.
She's one with her. She's with her sister.
Okay.
And,
well, that should explain what the situation was.
Well, you can tell the sister. The sister's like, we're spending time together and it's all good, but as soon as the sister would start to say something or act kind of odd, she would just like look like I'd rather be anywhere on the planet than here. And this lady was just like, I used to have one of those, talking real loud at the garage sales. And there was a little kid that was swinging on a swing set at the garage sale, lived there evidently. And as we were coming up the driveway and they were coming back down, she's making really mean faces at this little kid. This kid couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. I just, she's literally like, making these terrible, evil faces. And this kid's just like staring at her like, just, So that was fun.
Yeah.
Now, you know that we live near Amish people. Not near, but we see them
Close
often.
enough, yeah, they come shopping around here a lot.
And since they don't drive, they hire someone to drive a van with as many Amish people as will comfortably fit.
And those big vans usually will have a trailer attached to it, so whatever they buy goes in the trailer.
It seems like a lot of the things they buy are kids' toys and kids' clothes. Seems
Yeah.
to be the main gist of it. Now, I know the majority of Amish people are good salt of the earth kind of people.
Yes, they are.
Not the ones I meet garage selling. So I don't know if it's just me that repels them or they don't like me, but I'll go up and there will literally be a swarm. There must be a term for a large group of Amish women swarming a garage sale, like, a flock, or a herd.
Wow, you're not making this any nicer.
Oh. So I've gone to many garage sales where I've walked up and they've been standing there and I say, "Excuse me," in a nice tone. Very, very nice.
Of course.
And they'll turn and look at you and then look back at what they're looking at and will not move.
Maybe they pretend like they don't understand your English.
So I'll say "excuse me" twice, really nicely. Third time, not so nicely. I mean, you get two nice ones.
Third time, all bets are off.
Yeah. Third time, man, I'm doing the
Move out of the way.
Yeah, I'm going head and shoulder and I'm running, So that tends to be an issue. There are rude people at garage sales. There are people who are standing there they're literally looking at one thing at a time, like they're standing in a library. I had one person, there was a whole bunch of computer games, and my son was standing there kind of antsy, like he wanted to look. And this guy was looking, I think he was reading the back covers. I mean, just taking his time. I literally reached around him, and as many as my hand could pick up, picked up a chunk and then handed them to my son. And he's looking at me like, "Don't involve me in this, you being rude." But it's funny because he looked at me and goes, "No, I don't want to." So I put it back and I left because I didn't see anything else. So my son was still standing there. I guess they didn't realize I was with him. And the guy said, "Did you see how that lady just leaned around me and grabbed all that stuff in front of me?" I'm like, "Yeah.
Yep, that's my mall."
Yeah. So he just, he's like, "Oh." He's older than that age, but still you do something like that and he just hangs his head and just shakes it like, "Oh, Mom." So, yeah. I've had a few people who watch my channel and know that I go to the Two Savers on Monday. And I've had several people say, "Jen, Pudgy Picker, is that you?" Yes. So I've had several people that I regularly speak to and say hi to. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you,
nice like
I will tell you, if you do go to the thrift store and I'm there, or you see me and it's a Monday, I literally roll out of bed and dress in the dark and pick up my purse, put my shoes on,
scary
and
looking.
I go out the door. So I look a little,
You might even have your shirt on backwards.
You remember the animated things around Christmas, the Heat Miser? That's how my hair looks. If you don't know who the Heat Miser is, Google it. I've had Heat Miser hair days. I don't put on makeup. I don't shower because when I come back home on Mondays, I clean my house and then I shower. So if you see me on Monday, if I look a little hairy scary, it's okay. I'll still talk to you.
I thought you were going to say, "I'll just tell you if you ask if it's me." It's like, "No, I'm my sister Kim." Because Kim, she doesn't look this bad.
It's funny you said about how I had a shirt inside out. And I had someone, "Oh, are you Jen?
I remember
love
that.
your channel and blah, blah, blah." And, "By the way, your shirt is inside out." I told you I get dressed in the dark. So if my shirt is inside out, backwards, has a stain on it.
If I smell bad because I haven't showered.
It is the way it is.
This is my real life.
Yes, because I get up at 6. I leave the house at 6:30. The first thrift store opens at 7. Then I leave there. I'm usually there an hour. It takes me a good half an hour to get to the other one, and they open at 9. So you get what you get. So if you ever see me, just talk to me. I'll
just say hi at a distance.
Oh yeah, just wave.
I look better at a distance.
Yeah, and if I'm wearing my shirt inside out, you can tell me. And I was just like, you have that moment of, oh, someone recognized me. And then my shirt's inside out. And then I'm like, duh. Yeah. So I literally went back to the bathroom and switched it.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I was so embarrassed.
Oh, my. Can't take you no place.
So I am grubby on Mondays. It is a state of fact. It's just the way it
now
is. Yeah.
A worldwide known fact.
Yes. I did have at the One Saver, who we've now become bosom buddies, is the Fabric Lady.
Oh.
The Fabric Lady. The Fabric Lady and I have had a on-again, off-again love-hate relationship. She buys fabric. And before I hit the jackpot at the auction and bought literally 15 crates, milk crates full of fabric, I would go in and we would literally dash to the material at the second Savers that I go to. She, would get a cart. So my strategy became, she's fighting to get a cart, because you have to get the cart, back up, turn it around, and then go through the second set of doors. I, on the other hand, went straight back to the fabric, picked out what I wanted, went back and got a cart. So I kind of let up on her a little bit when I got all that fabric at the auction, because I'm like, I'll let her have whatever she wants here because I'm good for now. So yeah,
You're so thoughtful.
but we introduced ourselves, so now she'll come in and, hey, how you doing? Or if I see her, if she comes a few minutes late, I'll just bump into her cart and say, move it, lady, or something, because
that's what I do.
That's just how I am. Let's see what else. When I fell at a garage sale.
Oh.
If you go to estate sales or you're in different people's garages, there's concrete
Hazards
lips
everywhere.
There's all kinds of hazards to fall over, trip on. So this one happened to be, they had a lot of stuff in the garage and the whole inside of the house. So it was like 3 steps up into the house. So Connor's right behind me. We go all the way through the house. I found 2 ceramic Dalmatians. They were really pretty. So I had them both in my left hand. And I'm walking, and I go to step out of the house. I miss the last step.
Ugh.
So
That's such a scary feeling, and it takes like an hour to hit the ground. And you're thinking so many things on the way.
So I instantly, you thrust your empty hand, my right hand, out. And there was a brown bookcase that had CDs on it that was facing where and you do that couple of steps like you're trying to catch up with your top half. And I hit that shelf and, that thing flipped up. I got all these CDs flying at my face.
It exploded.
I didn't fall on the ground, and I didn't break the Dalmatians that were in my hand.
So that's good.
Yeah, I know. Will you ever see Funniest Home Videos where there's a person that falls and they have a drink in their hand?
Yeah, and it doesn't...
That's me. That's me. And of course, everybody comes running over because they're like, oh my gosh, she's going to sue us.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, are you okay? And then, you just feel like an idiot at that point, And Connor's 2 steps behind me, and you could tell by the look on his face, he wanted to die laughing. He wanted to make sure I was okay. So the whole rest of the day, he's like, we get out of the car, and he's doing this slow motion like I'm falling. So I'm like...
The last time I took a dive, I went in for like 3 things at a store, and I tripped in it was a pothole next to my car in the dark, and my ankle tripped, and I did a ping pong back and forth against the car, against the neighbor, against the car, against the neighbor.
When she told me the story, she's like, it was like a pinball game.
Yeah.
So I got this sound in my head of going, ding, ding, ding.
And again, trying to catch up one end to the other, but I had eggs were in the top of the eggs, bread, and something else. And I did the same thing. I kind of slung it forward, and believe it or not, I didn't break an egg.
Wow.
I busted up my knuckles good and
I
proper.
was just gonna say, then you break a leg or you hurt yourself, but all the stuff that cost $1.19 for a dozen eggs is perfectly fine.
I have scars on my knuckles today. I just tell people it was a fight that they didn't want to know about.
Yeah, I ran into a burning building to save orphans.
Well, we've done that too, but that's a different story.
Yeah,
that's for another
we
day.
Did. Okay, we have to tell those two stories. So I'm visiting with my mom and my sister, and we decided to order out. So we were going to go get Chinese.
Yep.
So me and her hop in the car. We literally are one street away from my mom's house.
I'm sitting in the passenger side. Yeah. She's driving. So I'm looking out her window as we're driving. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, Jenny, I think there's smoke coming out that window. She's like, what? I slowed down and back up. There's smoke. You can go ahead and pick it up from there.
So us being the heroes that we are, we pull up. It's a tiny house. It was a very small house. But we, so the first thing we do is, call, because I don't know if there's people in the house. I don't know if there's animals in the house. So I think you called 911 and reported it. And we go up, and I'm going to be the hero, and I'm going to kick the door in, because I've watched Cops, and I've watched TV, and I know how it's done. Let me tell you, it is a lot harder than you think it is.
I wished I'd have got that on film. You're like,
man.
Bam! And then you back up. Bam! And then the third one. Bam! And then you, just as calm as anything, turned to me and said,
what'd I say?
That's a lot harder than it looks on TV. It's not the time to laugh, but it was funny.
You need one of those things that they do where they go up and just ram the door. But it turned out there was no one in the house, thankfully.
Yes.
The paramedics, the fire department, everything.
Well, the policeman got there first, and he went to the back door. And in one kick, kicked the door in, and she's like,
"He's trained professional." We didn't try the back.
Yeah, that's true. It was, I don't know.
It was probably just like a.
Your leg was probably.
It was like a balsa wood door.
But it's funny when you're in a situation like that. The dumbest things that run through your head. It was summerish, and there had a kitchen window on the driveway side, and it was like if you stood next to it. I'm 5'6". And some days I'm shorter than that. But I'm about 5'6". And the bottom of the windowsill hit me just about chest level. So the smoke's coming out, and that ends up being a kitchen there. And I'm standing there going, I could get something, hollering in, I could get something and climb in through this window. And then my brain stops and said, you have on white pants. Do you know how hard that would be to clean smoke out of white pants?
I want to save you, but I don't want to get my pants dirty. Well, we were yelling because we're like, hey, is anybody in? Yeah, because you don't know. Yeah. It ended up the guy had put something in a pot on the stove and left.
Yeah.
So after they went in and figured out that's what it was.
And busted all the windows and everything, he was not happy.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't me that kicked the door in.
It could have been worse.
Believe me, I could kick the door in. Yeah. So, and the funny thing is, after we left there, so we go to the Chinese place.
We still got adrenaline.
Yeah, we're giggling like idiots. Woo, that's funny. So we get to the Chinese restaurant, and we place our order, and then we sit down at a table to wait till they're done. There's probably 3 or 4 other people in there. A guy comes in, an older guy, big scraggly beard, missing a leg. This man literally had a peg leg.
Yep, he had on shorts and a wooden leg.
Yes, he did.
This is not a joke. This is true to life fact.
I don't think he was sober. So he comes in and he's like, "Oh, the United States, and I'm just gonna blow this up," and blah blah blah. So we're just kind of looking at him.
Yeah, filth and foul, and I'm gonna kill people.
But we could tell he wasn't sober.
He was, inebriated.
Yes. So he turned around and hobbled out.
hobbled out.
And
we're just looking at each other like,
wow, this is some bizarre day today.
It was like, Jenny, you said, I thought we were going to have to get up and have to go after this guy. I said, I know, I was waiting.
I could take him. He was drunk. I could have took him. So literally like 3 minutes later, a police officer comes in and he said, evidently one of the other people that were sitting there called.
Yeah, everybody left. It was
said there was a guy here threatening to shoot or blow something up, and And he says, I think we have, I think we know who it is, but can you give me a description of the man?
But the funniest thing was, as he's saying that, that they're pulling that little tablet out of their little shirt pocket.
Oh, yeah.
And it's flipping open.
It's got the little pencil in the spiral.
Yep. So as it's flipping open and he's saying that, Jenny says...
He had a peg leg.
And he flipped it shut, stuck it back in his shirt pocket.
And said thanks.
Said thank you.
Because, usually you start, well, he's about this age, and he was white, and he was, he had this, and he had that. He had a peg leg. He goes, okay, thank you.
But that, I still see it in my mind, that flipping over and flipping shut.
He was ready to take notes. Yeah. Like, he had a scraggly beard. No, we're good.
Then we went to leave there after we got our food. We stopped at the stoplight, looked one direction, and could see police lights and everything. It's like, don't go that way.
Should we go check it out?
For one day.
Maybe we could help.
We're going to have to leave our capes under the front seat.
So we were totally ineffectual in helping any of those situations that day.
But we were willing.
So we came home. Mom's like, what took you so long?
I'm starving.
You're like, you're not going to believe us. There was a man with a peg leg and trying to kick a door in, and yeah.
Oh,
well, that's not a sourcing story, but that's funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Let's see. I had a person message me on eBay. I had sold an item, and I send out literally a standard message to everybody. I copy and paste, and maybe change the day a week, and I say, thank you for your purchase and fast payment. Blah 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 blah. I'll send the item today or tomorrow. Parentheses what day of the week it is. Thanks. And sign my name and. Just a little, because they get a note saying, a person's shipped the item because you printed the label. So I usually, maybe about a third of the time I get somebody back. Oh, hey, thanks. I'm looking forward to getting it. And then most of the time nobody says anything, which is fine. And about a day and a half after I sent that message, it evidently was a man. And he says, do you have a boyfriend? I'm like, because I have my name, you can tell it's, that I'm a girl. It's not just like, just some generic
man
name
cave.
Yeah, so but it was like, really? Is this like the new internet dating is buying stuff and trying to pick up chicks on the internet on eBay? So I should have probably said nothing, but I messaged him back and I messaged him. I couldn't leave enough alone.
No, that's right.
And I said, no, I don't have a boyfriend, but I have a very big husband. Enough said.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. I hope he makes you happy. And I'm like, I am not going to go back and forth on this. So take your item and just move along. So, isn't that funny?
I'd have just blocked him and let it go at that.
Oh, that was funny. Well, I got his money.
Well, if you quit selling all this unmentionable stuff
on the internet. Yeah, it's all the lingerie I have to personally... no, I'm kidding. No.
Ooh, I'm glad you stopped there. That was just too scary.
Just let your mind, finish that sentence. When it comes to our booth in our mall, there's always interesting things going on there. And I had one time, whenever we have anybody and we're restocking or putting new items out, if we have a couple of people start to go in the booth, we'll step out. We won't, most of the time we'll say, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Can I help you? Anything. But sometimes we'll just step out because they're talking to each other and we'll just stay out of the way. Because if they're shopping, we can wait. Yeah. And there was a man and his wife, and the wife is like, oh, look at this. So she steps into the booth, and the husband just steps back a little bit, and he's looking, at the whole booth. And I was like, uh-oh. And he says, look at all this crap. I'm like, spoken like a true man.
I think I'm going to make some signs and sell them in our booth that say, one man's crap is another woman's treasure.
There you go. It's true. So what was, you can tell the last story. That was, when, we were not demonstrating like, make love, not war. Not that kind of demonstrating. No. But, our anniversary is in April at the store.
Oh,
and they have, if you can come in and show how to crochet or show how to make this or show how to stain
somebody's,
furniture.
refinishing stuff.
Yeah,
and-
so we were in there and a lady comes in and you can tell that she's not a happy person.
Really?
Or she's not in a good mood that particular
Well,
day.
yes, that's it.
Yeah, she was not happy. So we're literally probably 5 paces from the door. And she looks at us and says, "Do you work here?" So we knew we were in trouble.
So they should have said no. They paid us to sit here and
No,
teach
I
this
have no
stuff.
idea.
No.
So what happened, Kim? If you can finish that
Oh,
story.
well, she stopped abruptly, and as she's spinning around looking down the aisles real fast, she said, "I'm in a rush. Just tell me where you sell the sterling,
silver
candelabras." And we said, "The what?" And then she kind of got aggravated because we wanted to verify what she was asking for, and she wanted sterling candelabras. So Jenny, in her nice little high voice, was like, "Well, I'm sorry, but we just did." And she's like, "I just want to know where the candelabras are. Just point me to the direct."
Because I was trying to explain the fact that there's over 100 vendors, and everybody
care.
has their own stuff. It's not like
She
you go
didn't
into
care.
Target and you ask where the towels are, and they say over
Yep,
there.
bedding,
Yeah,
pots of pans.
but we could not get more than 4 words in a row out.
And then she saw someone else that had an apron. She said, "Never mind, I'm going to go ask them." And we were like, "Oh, that poor soul."
Yeah, it was a walker. She was walking around and it said, "Well, just forget it. I'll ask her." And she looked like
deer in the headlights.
yeah.
Like, what's going on?
And I'm like, I'm like, whatever. Just so she ended up just
Stomping out of the place
she
after
literally
causing
stomped.
a
I'm like,
bit of commotion.
wow. I wish
Have
I
a
would.
nice day.
I wish I would have had one because the sterling silver candelabra that would have been
That
worth
would have
some
been
money.
worth something. Yeah, I could have smacked her upside the head with it to calm her down first.
You know, it's just funny because, and then she probably tells people, "Oh, there's nobody. They don't know where anything is, and they don't want to help you, and blah blah blah." It's like,
So if she would have stopped talking long enough to hear what we had to say. But she came in with an attitude. There was nothing you could have said or done. Even if we had a candelabra she was looking for, it probably wouldn't have done any good at that moment.
even if we would have known, because, there's literally people bringing in new stuff every day. And when we're in restocking, like today, we didn't have time to walk around. So you may, if they ask about a certain type of item, that there are vendors who sell, comic books, coins, those kind of things. But you don't know what people are bringing in. And, even if we would have known where 1 or 2 were, they're going to be in different places.
Yeah.
And she,
Yeah, she wasn't willing to do it. She started to walk down to the end of the aisle and then turned right back around, and "I'm just going to go ask her." It's like, "I'm sorry."
yeah.
Blindsided her.
There's just some people you can't make happy.
Like when I was driving back home the other day, and I was cutting down this road that's we used to be a big foresty area, and they put a road through there, so there's still a lot of trees, and during the day it's not as bad, but you got to watch early evenings and mornings because there's still deer that run through there.
Yeah.
So I'm driving along, and I'm just like, la la la, nothing on my mind. I'm heading home. And I glanced down at my speedometer and realized that it's 35 through there. Then I realized that I was doing maybe 32, 30.
Because
I'm
Kim
like,
never, ever speeds.
"How do you know that,
Oh
Jenny?"
my gosh. You use your blinker appropriately.
What did the kids used to say when they'd ride with me? Or ride with you after being in the car with me? On your way to your house?
I have no idea what you speak of.
Yeah. On her street was notorious for speeders, so they had one of those automatic digital signs that was always there. Remember now?
It's all coming back.
Yes. And so they'd say, because you'd be going fast, and it would always show that it was higher than the speed limit.
If it was over the speed limit, it would say, "Slow now. Slow now."
And they'd say, "Well, Aunt Kim can go 25 miles an hour."
When my kids went with her somewhere, she did exactly the entire, from when you could see a number on it to when you passed it. And I made an attempt to go exactly 25. No, it's just No.
Couldn't do it.
It just couldn't happen.
Well, anyway, so it was 35. I looked down. I was like, oh, I'm going a little too slow. I'll pick up the speed just a little bit. And I know I probably didn't quite hit 35, maybe 34. There were some other cars and stuff in front of me, but they weren't real close. But they weren't going fast either. So as I get it to the very end, there's a little where you pull over so you can turn at that light. And I did the...
It's almost a roundabout thing. Yeah.
So I went to get to the spot where you're in the turning lane to go left. And all of a sudden I hear someone lay on the horn, and I look over, and it's a man going by with the finger up in the air. I'm like, you're going to be that upset with going 2 miles an hour under the speed limit? You are a sad, sad soul.
You know what you do? You start blowing kisses, or you wave. I would wave, and then they would flip you off again. Like, I wasn't waving at you. I was doing this, you know. And Mr. Pudgy Picker... I tell him, like, you can't be doing this. One of these days, somebody's going to pull a gun out. He will literally, if somebody is really just flipping out, he blows kisses at them.
It's like, I don't do things on purpose to make people angry, but I'm good at it, obviously. And that was after somebody else's day went sour that I told him.
Because he evidently is a doctor, and he had a heart in a cooler in the back seat, in an igloo cooler, and was on his way to the hospital. I'm sure of it. So
yeah.
So somebody died on the table. Thanks a lot, Kim.
I know. Well,
this is last story. My husband was in line at a store, and it was the same line. They were checking people out as well as doing returns. So this person came up and was like, was decided to go around because he thought his return was more important than someone purchasing something. And he was, like he was mad. And then Mr. Pudgy Picker looked at him and he goes, oh my gosh, are you a doctor? And the guy just stopped and he looks at him and he goes, no. And he goes, well, then you could just wait like the rest of us. And people around him start laughing because there are people who won't say anything. But when like somebody does say something, they're like, yes. They're so glad somebody spoke up. So.
Yeah, like me. I'll just sit there and I just wonder when they go by and don't see any reaction from me. Do you think that... I'm glad you feel better as you tear around the corner there.
You should just start act like you're bursting into tears. It'd probably make them feel good if you did
it would.
That.
I should just laugh. That'd make them even madder, wouldn't it?
People are just... I don't know.
Oh well.
You're not aggressive and you're not passive aggressive. You're just passive.
I'm just dead. Oh, I can stand up when I need to. I can stand up when we need to, like a hotel room.
Oh. Okay, that's a story for another day. Let's just say if we ever go anywhere, I'm choosing the hotel next time.
I can't help that the pictures were wrong. What am I supposed to do?
I think the pictures were taken 20 years before.
When they first built it in 1942. Like,
look at all the people staying there. Their hairstyles are sold. That's weird. Okay, anyway. So we hope you enjoyed our podcast this week. I know we didn't give you any great, wonderful information, but we hope that you had a few laughs. If you have any funny stories or anything you would like us to know about, you can leave them down below in the description. We'd love to see some of your funny stories and things that you've gone through. I'm sure you've probably had similar things happen to you. And if you watch my channel for a long time, you've probably heard most of these stories. Because I always tell you, because I say I got a story, because I always have a story. So especially in the summer, a lot of my garage selling videos, I always have a story every week. So you can also contact me by email with a comment or a question, jen@pudgypicker.com. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram under The Pudgy Picker. And we will see you again next week. Anything else to add, or are we all done?
We are done.
Awesome.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.